Imagine for a moment the sheer, unstoppable momentum of a tidal wave. For the better part of a decade, that's been the feeling in the automotive industry. A single, colossal wave called EV has been building, promising to crest and wash away everything that came before it. The narrative was set, repeated like a gospel in boardrooms, on news channels, and by tech visionaries. The future, we were told with absolute certainty, was electric. The complex, beautiful, and chaotic symphony of the internal combustion engine, a relic, a fossil, a romantic but ultimately doomed technology destined for museums. Companies stake their entire 100-year-old legacies on this prophecy, retooling factories, designing futuristic concepts, and pouring billions into the race for battery supremacy. It became less of a business transition and more of a technological crusade. And then, amidst the roar of this electric wave, a sound was heard. It wasn't a roar, but the quiet, confident clearing of a throat. It came from Japan, from a company that has historically eschewed flashy pronouncements for quiet, methodical brilliance. It came from Honda. There was no grand unveiling on a stage with smoke and lasers. There was something far more potent, a calm, strategic declaration of intent, a public pivot that has sent a genuine tremor through the entire industry. This is why we are here. The sensational title of this video isn't just for clicks. It's an attempt to capture the magnitude of the shockwave Honda has created. They have refined and perfected a powertrain, a new breed of hybrid engine, so clever, so potent, and so perfectly timed for the world we actually live in, that is forcing everyone, from the executive suites in Silicon Valley to the engineering hubs in Germany and Korea, to ask a quiet, terrifying question. Did we bet the farm on an all-electric future far too soon? Let us dissect this, because the engineering truth is infinitely more compelling than the market hype. Before we can even begin to appreciate the genius of this new powertrain, we must first understand the very soul of the company that built it. You cannot comprehend Honda's present without respecting its past. This is the house that Soichiro Honda built. A man who was not a polished corporate executive, but a stubborn, grease-stained visionary who lived and breathed machines. He was a man who failed and failed and failed again until he succeeded spectacularly. This is the company that, when faced with the crushing oil crisis of the 1970s and the seemingly impossible demands of the U.S. Clean Air Act, did not simply try to make their existing engines more efficient. They invented the compound vortex controlled combustion, or CVCC, engine. It was an engineering miracle, a stratified charge engine that was so clean it met the strict new emission standards without needing a catalytic converter, a device the American giants in Detroit claimed was the only solution. Honda achieved the impossible through pure, unadulterated engineering elegance. This is the very same company that gave the world VTEC. For decades, engine builders knew a painful compromise. An engine could be designed for efficient, low RPM torque, or it could be designed for high RPM, screaming horsepower, but it couldn't do both well. Honda refused to accept this compromise. They devised a system using multiple camshaft profiles that could hydraulically switch on the fly, effectively giving their small, reliable four-cylinder engines two different personalities: a polite, economical Dr. Jekyll for city driving, and a wild, high-revving Mr. Hyde for the open road. It was a technology that infused the soul of a race car into the heart of an everyday vehicle. And who could forget the original NSX? At a time when supercars were beautiful, exotic, but notoriously temperamental and difficult to drive, Honda took on the gods of Medina and Stuttgart. They built a mid-engine marvel out of aluminum, with a V6 engine that was as reliable as an Accord's, and proved to the world that exotic performance did not have to come at the price of usability. Honda's entire history is a testament to this philosophy. Do not follow the trend. Do not accept the compromise. Instead, solve the fundamental problem with a more intelligent solution. And the fundamental problem they have now set their sights on is the messy, complex, and deeply flawed transition to mass-market electrification. Let's be brutally honest for a moment and cut through the marketing spin about the state of the EV revolution. The dream is beautiful, pure, and alluring. silent, seamless acceleration, zero tailpipe emissions, a cleaner, quieter world. For a specific subset of the population, that dream is already a wonderful reality. If you're a homeowner with a garage where you can install a level 2 charger, if your daily commute is predictable, and if your budget can accommodate the significant price premium, then an EV is, without question, a brilliant and satisfying choice. But we do not live in a world of specific subsets. We live in a world of sprawling, complex majorities, and for the vast majority of people, insurmountable hurdles remain. The initial purchase price is still the elephant in the room. As legacy automakers have pivoted to EVs, they have largely abandoned the creation of affordable entry-level vehicles, leading to a significant increase in the average cost of a new car, pushing millions of people out of the market entirely. Beyond the cost, there's the infrastructure. We talk of range anxiety, but that term is misleading. For most, it is charging anxiety. It's the very real fear of embarking on a family road trip and mapping your journey not by towns or landmarks, but by the sparse and often unreliable locations of fast chargers. It's the anxiety of arriving at one of these stations only to find that half the units are broken and the other half are occupied with a line of other anxious drivers waiting. It is the daily reality for the tens of millions of people who live in apartments, condos, or city terraces, who have no option for overnight charging other than dangling an extension cord out of a third-story window. And this is all before we address the monumental questions hanging over the supply chain. We celebrate the clean tailpipe of an EV, but we ignore the often dirty secret of its creation. The immense environmental impact of open-pit mining for lithium, the geopolitical instability surrounding the supply of cobalt, and the sheer energy required to process these raw materials into the monolithic battery packs that weigh over 1,000 pounds. The industry's answer to these problems, so far, has been a brute force approach. Just add more. More range requires bigger, heavier, more resource-intensive, and more expensive batteries. Faster charging requires a grid that, in many parts of the world, is already strained to its breaking point. Honda surveyed this battlefield of compromises and chose a different path, a path of elegant, thoughtful, right-sized engineering. So, let's finally pull the curtain back on the technology at the heart of this strategic shift. It is officially named the Honda HEV system. To truly grasp its brilliance, you must first erase the image of the old, droning, uninspired hybrids of the past. This is not a gasoline car with a mild electric helper. It is far more accurate to think of it as a primary electric vehicle that just so happens to carry its own incredibly efficient mobile power station. Its magic lies in the intricate, perfectly choreographed ballet between a brand new, high-compression, Atkinson cycle gasoline engine designed for maximum thermal efficiency and two powerful, compact electric motors. The system operates so seamlessly that the driver is aware of nothing but smooth, responsive power, but underneath, a symphony of engineering is constantly at work in one of three distinct modes. The first mode is EV drive. When you pull away from a stoplight, when you're navigating the dense crawl of city traffic, or when you are silently maneuvering through a quiet parking garage, you are, for all intents and purposes, driving a pure electric vehicle. The gasoline engine is completely dormant, physically decoupled from the drivetrain to eliminate any parasitic drag. The main electric propulsion motor, which is surprisingly powerful, draws its energy directly from a small, lightweight lithium-ion battery pack. In this mode, you experience the very best of the EV world. The complete silence, the instant and satisfying push of torque from a standstill, and zero local emissions. This is the perfect tool for the urban grind. The second mode, and this is where the genius of the Honda system truly distinguishes itself from all others, is hybrid drive. As your speed increases, or as you demand more vigorous acceleration for merging onto a highway, the gasoline engine whispers to life. But, and this is the critical paradigm-shifting detail, the engine does not connect to the wheels to drive them. Instead, its sole purpose is to spin the second electric motor, which in this mode functions as a dedicated generator. This generator produces electricity on the fly, which is then fed directly to the main electric propulsion motor that is driving the wheels. Think of it like a diesel-electric locomotive. The massive diesel engine on a train doesn't turn the wheels. It powers a huge generator that in turn powers electric motors at the axles. Honda has miniaturized and perfected this series hybrid concept for a passenger car. The brilliance of this setup is that it allows the gasoline engine to operate almost constantly within its narrowest, most efficient RPM band, like a world-class marathon runner maintaining a perfect, steady heart rate, completely avoiding the inefficient and dirty process of laboring to accelerate the car's mass. All of that dynamic, heavy lifting is handled by the electric motor, which is perfectly suited for the task. This is the secret sauce that eliminates the disconnected rubber band feeling associated with some continuously variable transmissions, CVTs, in other hybrids, creating a direct, powerful, and exhilarating surge of acceleration that feels distinctly electric. The third mode is engine drive. Honda's engineers recognize that there is one specific scenario where a highly efficient internal combustion engine can actually be more efficient than an electric powertrain: steady-state highway cruising. When you're on a long, flat stretch of interstate, maintaining a constant speed, the system engages a simple, elegant lock-up clutch. This clutch physically connects the gasoline engine directly to the wheels, allowing it to efficiently maintain the car's momentum. The electric motor is never truly offline. It is always ready to provide an instantaneous boost of electric torque for overtaking a truck or climbing a hill, but the primary work of efficient cruising is handled by the engine in its happiest state. The car's sophisticated power control unit, the real brain of the operation, acts as a master choreographer, constantly and imperceptibly shifting between these three modes hundreds of times a minute, always choosing the most efficient and effective method to deliver the power you're requesting. Now, how does this marvel of engineering fare in the crucible of the marketplace? Let's start with the undisputed king of hybrids, Toyota. For decades, Toyota has earned its crown. The Prius is an icon, and their hybrid synergy drive system is a masterwork of reliability and proven efficiency. Toyota's system is at its heart a mechanical blender. It uses a planetary gear set, a device of profound complexity and elegance, to continuously blend the power output from both the gasoline engine and the electric motor. It is a flawless and incredibly effective approach focused purely on maximizing MPG. Honda has taken a different philosophical path. By choosing to operate primarily as a series hybrid in many driving conditions, Honda has prioritized the subjective driving experience. They have engineered a system that feels more powerful, more direct, and more EV-like in its power delivery. In a head-to-head comparison, the Honda Accord Hybrid is not only quicker than its Toyota Camry rival, but it is consistently praised by automotive journalists for being more refined, quieter under acceleration, and simply more enjoyable to drive. Honda has willingly made a strategic trade, perhaps sacrificing 1 or 2 miles per gallon on a government test cycle, in order to deliver a powertrain that delights the person behind the wheel. But the real disruption, the real reason this powertrain is sending shockwaves, is how it stands up against the all-electric titans like Tesla. Honda is not trying to build a better electric car. They are making a more profound argument. They are building a better solution for the car buyer of today. A new Honda Civic Hybrid can comfortably achieve over 50 miles per gallon, giving it a real-world range of well over 600 miles on a single tank of gasoline. That tank can be refilled in 5 minutes at any of the tens of thousands of gas stations that the country, from downtown Los Angeles to rural Montana. There is zero range anxiety. There is zero charging anxiety. The battery pack, because it doesn't need to provide 300 miles of range on its own, is a fraction of the size of an EV's. This makes it lighter, which improves handling and efficiency. It makes the car significantly cheaper to manufacture and purchase, and it dramatically reduces its reliance on the vast quantities of precious metals that are the Achilles heel of the EV industry, while also mitigating any long-term consumer fears about a $10,000 battery replacement bill a decade down the line. At this point, we must pause for a crucial fact check to combat the misinformation that often surrounds this topic. Honda's HEV system is a monumental achievement in efficiency, but it is not a zero-emission vehicle. Any claim that its emissions are equal to an EV is patently false. It has a tailpipe and it burns gasoline. However, its emissions are drastically lower than a conventional gasoline-powered car. And for the hundreds of millions of people worldwide who are not in a financial or logistical position to switch to a full EV, this technology represents a massive, immediate, and meaningful step toward reducing their carbon footprint. This is harm reduction on a global scale. This is all part of Honda's meticulously prepared, multi-year global strategy. This fourth-generation HEV system is not a niche experiment. It is the spearhead of their entire lineup. It is already earning awards in the best-selling CR-V. So, when we speak of a new Honda engine shaking the foundations of the EV industry, this is the truth at the heart of the matter. It is not about a single, mythical engine leaked in the dead of night. It is about a holistic, brilliantly conceived, and flawlessly executed engineering philosophy that directly attacks the core weaknesses of the EV or nothing narrative. Honda has looked at the real-world anxieties of the modern car buyer and has met them not with a promise of a far-off future, but with a perfect solution for the present. They haven't killed the dream of the electric car. Instead, they have reintroduced intelligent, powerful, and necessary competition. They have given the pragmatic majority of the car-buying public a compelling, enjoyable, and affordable alternative. In doing so, they have made the long road to a cleaner automotive future a whole lot more interesting and a great deal more honest.